Pregame.com.
Welcome back on Pregame.com. I'm Pauly Howard. That's Teddy Covers, dressed up for the occasion. Wild card weekend, NFL playoffs, Lions and the Cowboys. The Cowboys 8-0 on the road. It's happened 7 times since the merger in 1970. 6 of them went to the Super Bowl. See if it works out for Dallas in this one. Lions, we told you Packers were easy money last week. Stafford can't win a big game on the road. And guess what he has to do? He has to go on the road and try to exorcise the demons, and they could be probably without Sue and no Fairley in this one. What do you think?
Well, let's start with Stafford. Let's start with the shirt. All right, it's Christmas break, man. Give me, it's holiday. I didn't shave. I wore a little festive shirt. Give me a break. I'm allowed to do it. Just this week. Only this week.
Yeah, okay.
Stafford, 0-16 straight up versus opponents with a winning record on the road in his career. And, of course, we saw last week at Green Bay, the Lions came up short, straight up, and against the spread. Stafford missed, about half a dozen wide open receivers in that ballgame, yet he still finished with 3 touchdowns and no picks. And the point spread difference in the game came because of a punt return touchdown. Not because, that was the difference. Otherwise, Green Bay wins by 3. Instead, they win.
Wow, they outscored him 30-8 when Rodgers was in there. I mean, come on.
Just saying, But no, the fact that the Lions got
30-6 rather. 30-6.
The fact the Lions got a touchdown when Rodgers was after Rodgers got hurt isn't an indictment of Matthew Stafford. They moved the football. They moved the football throughout that ballgame. But we have to talk about Ndamukong Suh, obviously. The Lions sack rate cut in half when he's not on the field. Yards per rush, 3.0 with Suh, 3.8 without him. And without Suh and Fairley still listed as questionable for this week. It goes from 3.0 yards per rush allowed to 4.3. That's a significant difference facing a team with DeMarco Murray.
I think the Lions are a total fraud. They have 1 win against a team with a winning record. And when they play a team 500 or above, they average 14 points per game.
Well, Detroit's been
that's staggering. Well,
they've been an under machine on the road. In fact, the only over they cashed on the road all year came last week against Aaron Rodgers. Before that, they'd gone 7-0 to the under on the highway this season. But Dallas, you talk about they're 8-0 on the road. You can't give them 8-0 on the road because one of the games was in London against the Jags. You got to give them 7-0 on the road and 1-0 neutral site, which tells that all 4 of their losses came right here on this field in Jerry's World. And who'd they lose to? Well, let's see. We saw them lose to Arizona. I guess Arizona was good back then. They lost to Philly. Was Philly good? Yeah, Philly was pretty good.
Philly blew them out in that game. Different team at home, no question. There's no home field advantage there.
They lose to the Redskins. They lose to the 49ers. Neither one of those teams were any good. So all 4 of those teams they lost to at home, and in all 4 of those games they scored 17 points or less. Now here's Jason Garrett, your brain surgeon.
Yeah.
Jason Garrett last week. Let's see, they're up 27-7 at Washington. They're locked into their playoff spot. What did he do in that spot? What did Belichick do in that spot? And he wasn't even up.
They didn't care.
He took the starters out.
Gronk was inactive.
Yeah.
Starters were out early. Yep.
DeMarco Murray had 392 carries this year during the regular season. And DeMarco Murray was on the field in the fourth quarter. There was 3 minutes to go for Dallas. The number 2 leading rusher in terms of attempts in the NFL this year, LaShawn McCoy, had 312. So we had 80 more carries than the number 2. The number 3 guy had more than 100 less. Oh, and that doesn't even count the, 57 catches that Murray had out of the backfield compared to 28 for McCoy. So you have a tired back and you wear him down in a meaningless Week 17 game. Baffling to me, Jason Garrett. He's not a coach I'm willing to lay points with. Not on this field. Not this guy. I know Tony Romo, number 1 in the NFL in quarterback rating. 8.5 yards per pass attempt, best in the league. A 34-9 touchdown interception ratio. I understand all of that. I don't trust him. I don't trust him in a big game. I trust Matthew Stafford in a big game more than I do Tony Romo.
Oh my God! How can you say that?
And I don't trust Stafford at all. How do you trust Romo? How do you trust him not to screw this up?
Okay, listen. This is why.
And Garrett's not. I mean,
well, I don't want Caldwell. Come on now, with the challenge flag there.
Yeah, and the special teams miscues, which has been a problem for Caldwell for years.
You bring up a great point. I mean, this is today's NFL, where it's you got to get a marquee quarterback, and we got to get a quarterback. You got one guy who hasn't won a game on the road in his career against a team with a winning record. Here's $50 million extension. Mm-hmm. You know, and he's another guy who's 1-6 in win-or-go-home situations. Here's a $100 million contract.
Who do you want? You know, if you don't, you end up with Blaine Gabbert. You know, and you saw some of the bad quarterbacks that were on display this past weekend. There were dozens of them. I'll take mediocre with a chance and give him $50 million over hopeless, over a Brandon Weeden, and then here go, you know, do what you can do. Christian Ponder. I mean, think of all these bad quarterbacks. I don't know why I'm all thinking of all these quarterbacks from years past, but there's certainly something to be said for a decent quarterback gives you hope. Romo was the best quarterback in the NFL this year. You know, the numbers show it. The numbers said the 6th best QBR of all time from Tony Romo with that offensive line, with that running game. And I still don't trust him to lay a touchdown. I still don't do it, not on this field. I would much rather get Dallas +7 somewhere than -7 at home.
Okay.
I'm not going to get involved in the side in this game because, I mean, Detroit, it's hard to make a case for a team that A, hasn't been there, and B, is a quarterback who's repeatedly failed in this situation. So that means we're going to look at the total in this one.
Let's make it official. What are we going to do?
Absolutely. So I talked about the fact that the Lions only 1 overcash on the road all year. I talked about Dallas, only 2 overcashes at home all year. The Cowboys defense, we have our question marks, but I do not see this as a good old-fashioned shootout. Both squads have played well in the red zone defensively, and I think this one is going to stay under the number. Let's take the Lions and Cowboys under 49, say less than 7 touchdowns. It might be a sweat. I think we're going to get there. Let's take Detroit, Dallas under. All
right, you've been on a nice run here with the free picks. Let's continue. And I like to see the Cowboys win. I want to see Dallas go to Green Bay next weekend. I think it'd be a great game. We'll see you next time on pregame.com.